this is the part that drives me crazy when you're reading that the talent's up in arms. They loved him more, this and that. Bro, what type of business do these people think they're in, bro? This is the wrestling business, bro. People come and go all the time for no reason.
All right, let's talk about other very prominent pro wrestling promoters. We've got Scott D'Amore, man, who was really instrumental in reviving the TNA brand to becoming like just a very small and not as buzzing product. Yeah, of course, hardcore fans were still following it, and there were still names there that was still very cool to see. But at the same time, over the past really couple months, getting back to TNA brand, having the Vegas event. And they've really had opportunities to really, I think it was like 4 times their numbers grew over the past few weeks. So Scott D'Amore has been really instrumental in reviving the TNA brand. He's got a cigarette, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know why, but he's got a cigarette. So Scott D'Amore was fired, unfortunately, from TNA. He was released from his duties. What the reports are saying is that D'Amore wanted to buy TNA, and he clashed with Anthem, and therefore they let him go. So Vince Russo, what do you think about Scott D'Amore's release from TNA after doing so much of what he can to revive the product, really?
Bro, listen,
Anyway.
I say this all the time, and bro, EC3 can back me on this because it's happened to me and it's happened to him. Bro, every day in professional wrestling could be your last day. Every day could be your last day. And Chris, all it takes is one new person coming in, and you could have been there for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. It doesn't matter. And everybody, bro, everybody has their run, but that run always comes to an end. I mean, EC3, that is the business you're getting into, bro. That's the nature of the beast.
Gears in a machine, man, like truly. So in one retrospect, you can look at the industry like, oh, how horrible, what a terrible way to live, what a, cutthroat environment. On the second hand, too, if you have gratitude, you should be grateful for every day you get to have in this business and making a living for it. So,
yeah, with D'Amore though, I don't understand. I can see the power struggle if him trying to buy TNA. Of course, Anthem's like, no, we own that. So
why would that be a power struggle, Chris? Like, he wants to buy TNA, they don't want to sell it. Well, like I don't see where a power struggle.
That would be the power struggle itself. But he wants to buy and they don't want to sell it.
But okay, someone says no. I mean, in most cases, maybe not for Mr. McMahon's former office, but if someone says no, the answer is no, and then dust off, move on.
Yeah, either start your own wrestling company or you know what I mean? I mean, if they don't want to sell, they don't want to sell. So I don't know what the story is, bro. I don't have a clue.
That's what the internet's saying. I'm partial to not believe it. I do believe Vince had a very good point. I mean, Anthem's a very big business with a lot of assets in different genres and things like that. So within TV, I mean, somebody new gets in charge, they're going to try to find their own guys. And if they don't have necessarily a reason, maybe there's a clash or they don't have that reason though, they're going to look for and find one, because when you inherit somebody else, you don't have the trust or the loyalty in your own mind that they're going to be there in your best interest. So that's just biz, man.
You brought up an interesting bold prediction, Vince, about Triple H.
It's exactly what we're talking about, Chris. Yeah. This is exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah. So Scott D'Amore being someone who was so instrumental in reviving the product, if there's anyone who seemed like they would have job security, it'd be the one who's putting the numbers back on, on the paper. But even him, didn't have job security. So, your bold prediction with Triple H, this kind of seems like a smaller version of that theory, man.
Bro, when I was at WCW, bro, the first 3 months, and again, the numbers are there for anybody to research. The numbers were going up in the first 3 months, and then I get called into the office, because of politics, and we're taking a change in direction. And I'm like, okay, bro, the ratings are going up and you're changing directions. But that's what it is, Chris. I mean, that's exactly what it. Okay, bro, change direction. That's the business you're getting into, bro.
Yeah. Sometimes too, a business is going to use somebody that, is in that position. If they are turning it around, they turn it around to a point where they think, okay, now it's leveled off. He got us through that. He could take all the brunt of the heat if any of it went wrong. But now that we're on the right trajectory, I'll install my team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think that Impact will sustain this momentum, or do you think that the fans, knowing that Scott D'Amore is gone, and if you're watching TNA, you're most likely a hardcore fan, anyways. So a hardcore fan, knowing that Scott D'Amore was instrumental in reviving the product, knowing that he's gone, do you think that will lose the steam and the company made a poor decision to let Scott go?
Go ahead, EC3.
Yeah, I don't believe so, because I believe even if there's an uproar and there's complaints and there's torches on fire and there's Storm in Canada yelling at the building, if they're diehard fans, I gotta watch. They're gonna watch no matter what. And I think that's the wrestling fan crux is, like the consistent complaining online about something, but the continually watching the product, and that's fine. But you are choosing to, like, when The Walking Dead started going off the rails, I didn't go on the forums and complain about it. I was just like, I'm not going to watch this anymore. And I found something else. I found a book. I found a podcast. Like, I've found somewhere to put my time and my effort in, and my time. It's a valuable asset. I'm going to put it somewhere else because this is not satisfying my needs. Or I didn't like the backstage politics with Negan. I heard he didn't get to ad lib as much as he'd want to. No, they're going to stick around. I don't think it'll lose too much momentum.
Well, I'm gonna counterpoint that, EC3, because that's what happened to me, Chris. Like, I was there the first 3 months, the ratings started going up. I leave, Sullivan comes in, and in the next 3 months, the ratings dropped right back down to where they were before I started. Why? Because there was a significant change in the product.
Right.
So if they can maintain the product, while D'Amore was there and they can maintain it, fine. But if they see a significant drop in the product, you're going to lose people, I believe.
Yeah. Both of you were very, very instrumental in TNA at really cool boom periods for both of you. I mean, the beginning of TNA was a really cool boom period with the SCX and Vince Russo and company and really, really prominent names coming in really early on, eclipsing 2 million, viewers. And EC3 was in there in a really cool boom period too, with Drew and with Moose and with not Moose, but with Lashley. Moose was in ROH at the time, I believe. And you had, of course, the Broken Universe with Broken Matt and Brother Nero, and there was some really, really cool. Bobby Roode, he was a big prominent name there too. And that was a really cool time too when it came to TNA. Sting was still there too, and so. But the problem is, 2 really cool boom periods within the TNA brand, and then like when people found out that AJ was leaving because he was getting lowballed by Dixie, like there was a shift away from like the old guard, and pro wrestling fans were kind of like feeling that the old guard were like going further and further away. And there were some cool new names that came within the past 5 or 7 years, but it was still just super, super tiny compared to certain boom periods in TNA. I don't see how this is going to be any different than that. You know what I mean? I think that we were approaching potentially another boom period in TNA, you know, with just a revival. It was just, the air was different. It was starting to gain some momentum. And now, since people are seeing that that's starting to, they're removing the old guard from the executive, Scott D'Amore was the one who was handy in the booking and in the promotion and putting that together. I just don't see how some executive from Anthem, you know, appoint someone to make storylines and it's going to be different. So
I would then like agree with Vince too. It's just going to depend on the quality of the product.
Yeah.
What I meant to say is that I don't think there's going to be a massive uproar of immediate click-offs, frustration or anger, but they're going to watch until then. Therefore, it becomes subpar in their estimation.
I can see that.
I get just so like, you know, when you know, just reading the internet and stuff, like, you know, this is the part that drives me crazy when you're reading that the talent's up in arms, they love them more, this and that. Bro, what type of business do these people think they're in, bro? This is the wrestling business, bro. People come and go all the time for no reason. It just drives me crazy. Every time somebody gets let go or whatever, people go nuts. Like, what business do you think you're in, bro?
I do think that, like, well, what if the replacement, okay, the new guy brings in his own team, but what if he promotes from within? And what if Gail Kim takes over that role? Are fans going to be upset about that? Probably not.
Right.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point. Yeah, well, we shall see what's going to happen in the world of TNA. But until then, we have Vince Russo. We have EC3. I am Dr. Chris. This is the Wrestling Outlaws. Have a good night, everybody. Solo.